to be honest, don't really know what I'm doing.
He was often a player that I would buy on Football Manager.
It's already a terrible reason.
From Jon Snow, Matt puts Dan's wardrobe to shame.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Look at him, the cat that got the cream.
Ian Taylor said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen in his life. Monk, really, I know he's manager. What kind of say this?
Gary Monk, 5 out of 10.
I haven't finished yet. I cannot believe Gabby Abonahor.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's terrible. Yeah, we may well have lost listeners early doors again with a long-winded intro. Go, shoot. Hello, welcome to the Villa View podcast, episode number 27. Myself, Dan Bardell, joined by Thomas Julian for, I've already said episode 27, haven't I?
Yep.
Professional, as always. Just emphasising it because I got it wrong last week after a misunderstanding with Dan Rolinson.
You also said you were going to drop saying it, and you haven't.
I know, but when I come to do the intro, I kind of have an inner panic inside of me and can't think of anything more interesting to say other than what the episode number is. But there's some people who might be keeping tally. Yeah. Like someone might be sat there with a notepad every week going, oh, we said it wrong again.
I mean, it literally says it on the YouTube video and the podcast, and there is a lot to talk about. So so we should get straight into it, shouldn't we? It's nice always to talk about 6 points.
It is, yeah. I feel like there's been a few times we've come in to do a podcast after a run of games and Villa have got a few victories in their midst.
I tend to think it's like a victory and then a draw, and we've gone all high, or we've come off maybe a win, and then we're like, oh yeah, this is going to be the great one, and then the next week it's a kind of boring draw, and we're back to fielding the questions whether Bruce should be in or out.
I mean, to be honest, coming away from the game last night, personally, I didn't care about the performance. I just want to win, but it did feel a bit like a defeat or a draw in some ways, because it seemed to be a very dull atmosphere at Villa Park last night. It seemed to be very sombre before, during and after the game. It was quite a funny one.
Yeah, I was gonna come on to that actually, but we might as well start with the Sunderland game as it's fresh in the memory.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been talking about the atmosphere, about how it was quite quiet throughout, Sunderland brought, I think, 600 or 700 fans, which is credit to them, seeing as they're bottom of the league. And, it's a Tuesday night. It's
a long trip.
It's not an easy place to go, yeah. And yet there didn't seem to be that kind of atmosphere, that kind of buzz around Villa Park that we have seen this season, because there has been an excitement.
Well, I think the official attendance was 27,000, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't 27,000 people there. There might have been 27,000 seats sold, but it looked less. Looked less to me. I don't know. I'm not Rain Man. I don't know why I've suddenly given myself this skill to be able to tell exactly how many people are at Villa Park. But yeah, as I say, it was just a funny atmosphere. Even when we went 1-0 up, it was almost like, oh, this is what we should be doing, and it was just people were frustrated that we weren't playing well. But I think you have to show both sides of the coin. We won 2-1 on Saturday as well, and played very, very well, as you know, because you were there as well with me. But last night it was the other side of it, where sometimes if you're not playing well, you just have to find a way of winning, and that's what we did. I just felt we were always comfortable. We were playing in first gear, and I even think if Sunderland had scored in the last 5 minutes to equalise, I think we would have just turned it on and gone down the other end and scored, because their defence looked suspect, even though we didn't really test them.
Yeah, for those that missed the game, Villa beat Sunderland 2-1 at home last night. It was a Tuesday night game, coming off the back of another 2-1 win. You're right there.
Yeah, I don't want to pull my chair up. I feel like I'm really low down. That's better.
Coming off another 2-1 win at Loftus Road, away at QPR on Saturday. So we'll get into both games today. There's a little bit of news as well.
There's always news on Tom Julian's list.
Do you know what?
Professional journalist.
I've got the notes.
Trained journalist. He finds himself notes wherever he can.
Absolutely. We've also we've had some questions and some comments, and we'll get into them for sure. We've already talked a little bit about the Sunderland game, so let's get into it a little bit more. I thought it was quite nice. We scored obviously quite early on, Albert Adoma at the back post, and it was nice to see Villa take real advantage of a counter-attack. I think it was Matthews at fullback for Sunderland who'd gone marauding forward. He lost the ball, and it ended up being Adoma, who Matthews should have been marking, was the one to tuck in the ball at the far post there, set up by Robert Snodgrass as well with a cheeky ball across the danger area there. It's nice to see some counter-attacking football and some productivity, some finish there.
I mean, we picked the pockets really, because at that point, I know the game's only 9 minutes old. At that point, Sunderland were starting to not dictate the tempo, but they got a foothold in the game. They looked quite reasonably dangerous going forward. And was it Matthews who lost the ball and stayed down?
Yeah.
So when you're down the bottom, as we've seen in the Premier League, that kind of thing goes against you. And I did think as soon as we countered, I thought I've got a feeling we're going to score here, just because Sunderland's down and out with their luck at the moment, and it was well worked. And as you say, we took advantage with the counter attack. Snodgrass is a very, very good player, a very good footballer. I don't think he's getting the credit that he deserves. I feel like he's the missing piece in the jigsaw that we didn't know we needed. Because it was almost like we'd completed the jigsaw and hadn't realised there was a piece missing.
Well, I tend to agree with you. Just a little while later, Robert Snodgrass had a chance where he was clean through, and the goalkeeper came out, made a decent save. But I really think he should be doing better.
It was on his wrong side, wasn't it?
From that. Yeah, but I mean, he's a long-term Premier League professional footballer. Because this happened as well at QPR, where he took too long, took a touch, tried to move it onto his other foot, and score.
Yeah, I remember.
And you know, these are the chances that or maybe last year we don't score and then we end up drawing that game. I really thought he should have done better with that one.
But overall, he's got an end product, especially assist-wise. He scored a couple of goals for us already, and I still think he's catching up fitness. I still don't think he's fully fit. He doesn't look as mobile as he perhaps should, but considering that, he's an unreal footballer, a real clever footballer. He can do a bit of everything. He works hard. He hasn't got a great pace, but yet his dribbling is still very effective. He's a player that's too good for this level, Snodgrass.
Yeah, I must admit, actually, I say all that, and then I remember us talking before the season when Snodgrass had been signed, and I was just like, I just don't see the space, the place for him in this team, and I've been completely proven wrong with that. I think when he's on his game, Snodgrass is a difference maker. He creates chances, like he created the goal, and defences can't deal with him. He's such a tricky, skillful footballer, and I think he's proven that. And there's been a couple of times where I think Villa fans have got on his back pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's people. Did you notice on Saturday at QPR, there's a group that were really getting on his back, and I don't get that.
No.
I don't really get how we can be on anyone's back at the moment, really, but that's a different story.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that before, but to the point, I think I agree with you. I think Snodgrass is proving his weight, certainly as a loanee at the moment. He's a real handful for defenders, and he's the reason that we're scoring many more goals than we did last year.
I've got two things to say from your spiel that you've just had.
Yeah.
First one is you should get used to being proved wrong, being part of the Villa View, because it's happened to me a lot of times in the last 18 months or however long I've been doing it so far. The second point is with Snodgrass is because he was so adamant that he was a right-sided player when he came in, and that was one of the reasons he left West Ham, because he wanted to play on the right-hand side and wasn't getting games there. It's forced us to put Adoma on the left. Yeah. And we've stumbled upon that, and Adoma's obviously bagged 8 or 9 goals from the left-hand side. Yeah,
3 and 2.
Now, so it's having those two on the flanks has worked very well for us. And just if you think we've got Grealish who can play there, we've got Andre Green to come back from injury. We did have Codger who could potentially play wide as well. The amount of options we've got, we can make changes to the squad, and we shouldn't lose any of the effectiveness. Yeah,
Josh Onoma added the second goal last night for Villa. I noticed that I was watching the extended highlights again this morning. The commentator on that says Onoma.
Yeah, the Tannoy man. Yeah. I don't know what his official job title is. The Tannoy man. He said it a way I didn't think.
That really threw me, and I was like, have I been saying this wrong the whole time? I thought it was Onoma.
I thought it was Onoma as well. Okay. So it's probably not.
Yeah, that's true. prove us wrong. You can let us know in the comments. You have to spell it phonetically, though, if you're going to make a comment. Yeah. If you just write Onoma, then it doesn't really make a difference, does it?
I think most people would have realised that, Tom. I don't feel they needed that, that lecture. You're like one of those annoying teachers that tells you the obvious when you've already done it.
That's not the first time I've heard that comment.
I bet you're a barrel of laughs at home.
Yeah, I really am. What did you think of his goal? Obviously, it took a deflection, but another situation where he's outside the box, he's having a crack, and it's paid off.
It's another one of those ones, if we're not playing Sunderland, it probably doesn't go in, but because their luck's against them, as I've just said, it ends up just leaving the goalkeeper flat-footed and flies into the goal. You could see by the goalkeeper's reaction before it even hit the net that it was going in. It's just, he's a good player. I mean, we saw the bet. I mean, we'll come on to Saturday. I thought he was phenomenal on Saturday. I wouldn't say he had his best game on Tuesday, but what he does do is always very effective. He doesn't really give the ball away, and he has a bit of purpose and wants to come forward. So I'm pleased with him. I just hope he hasn't got an option to get called back by Spurs in January. I've been trying to find out whether he has or not. So hopefully he hasn't.
I know the Spurs haven't been in the best form, but I don't really feel like that's the position that they need to call somebody back from. Do you think?
I'd be surprised. I mean, it's always a worry if it's there and they've got the chance to. Yeah. I mean, Snodgrass, I think, is a different kettle of fish, I believe, and don't quote me on this because I'm not sure it's true. I believe we paid a fee, a pretty big fee for a loan, to get him in. So I don't think it's possible for West Ham to call him back, because I've had a few fans ask me about, obviously Moyes is Scottish, people put 2 and 2 together. He might fancy Snodgrass back. I mean, to be honest, the state they're in, I'm sure he could go there and get a game. Snodgrass, but I don't think they can call him back. But Onuma, I'm not sure. Okay. But like he's not going to get a game at Spurs, is he? Because Eriksen and Ali and Son are the 3 attacking midfielders. So he'd be very unlikely to get a game there. He's best served staying at Villa, but the worry would be, I remember when Kyle Walker was on loan at QPR in the Championship when we were in the Premier League, and he was doing very well there. Spurs called him back and then loaned him to Villa in the Premier League. So if a Premier League team suddenly wants him and Spurs think that would be better for his development, I suppose there's always that could happen.
Absolutely. Well, we shall wait and see on that one. I thought it was really interesting. I was watching the fan cams from last night's game. I thought it was interesting that you got Del Boy Trotter to present them.
Interesting choice. Yeah, I said on social media earlier, I looked at myself in the mirror before I went out and I thought, yeah, you look like a Peaky Blinder, you look cool. And then you watch the fan cams back, and I, in fact, look like Del Trotter. I don't look like a Peaky Blinder at all.
You'd been at Shepherd's Bush Market on the Saturday before.
I should have wore that on Saturday. It would have gone down better on Saturday.
Well, moving on to Shepherd's Bush Market and Loftus Road. QPR 1, Villa 2, and I mean, you and I enjoyed the game together. I say enjoyed. If you've seen the pictures on Twitter, the restricted view seats at Loftus Road are an absolute abomination to a ground, aren't they? Yeah,
we're going to have to get you to write a letter of complaint. I feel you'll be better at writing a complaint letter than me for some reason. I feel like you may have experience in it. I don't know.
I wrote one this week.
What about?
The house that we've moved into.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? You bought it, so surely who can you write a complaint letter to?
The way it's been finished, it's a new build. So
someone's doing well.
Didn't you move into a new build?
No.
Oh right.
Established.
Well, anyway, I got a letter back from the managing director who wants a meeting. So that's pretty.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh.
So there you go. But yeah, the seats were absolutely terrible. They sold them for £27 a pop, which I just think is an absolute rip. And you mentioned this point before, that if every away ticket in the Premier League is £20, how can you pay 27 for a restricted view? I mean, in the Championship.
I mean, I remember paying £50 to see at QPR before. I mean, at least I could see in that game. That was when it was a Premier League tie, QPR Villa. But it's a terrible little ground.
Yeah.
I mean, they had that, was it the executive suite or something we had above us that was slightly obscuring our view at the other end?
Yeah, the executive lounge.
It was a porter cabin.
Oh, worse.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It's not a nice ground, is it? It's got a lot of tradition and history. I don't want to disrespect QPR too much, but they cannot charge that price. They cannot charge it. It's only £6 cheaper than people that could see.
Yeah. So we'll get on to the actual game. I thought we were very unlucky, Villa, to concede. We dominated early in the game.
I wouldn't say we were unlucky. It was our own fault. It was bad defending.
Oh, yeah, okay, maybe unlucky. Okay, yeah, fair enough. It wasn't good. It was a scrappy goal, which should have been cleared 2 or 3 times. It wasn't. Jamie Mackie scored from, 2 yards out, and Villa found themselves 1-0 down. Perhaps undeservedly. They were playing the better football up until that point.
And then we kicked up again after we went 1 behind, to be fair. And it's how we didn't score before we got that penalty, I would never know. Smithy's had a good game.
Yes. Yeah,
especially in the first half. He made some really, really good saves. But that goal at half-time was so important.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've come off the back of a defeat to Sheffield Wednesday. So to get that goal at half-time completely changes the complexion of the game. If we'd have been going in at half-time 1-0 down, the mood might have been a bit sombre. We'd have been chasing the game in the second half, and then you never know what can happen on the break. But it also, because we got that goal at half-time, we started like a house on fire in the second half as well. Confidence was flying, and we had a couple of chances in the first few minutes. And then Adoma scored. I don't know what minute it was, but it was relatively early.
Yeah.
But the other good thing about the last 2 games is we've been 2-1 up going into the final 10-15 minutes. And I never once felt in trouble. I felt comfortable in both games.
Did you?
Yeah.
See, I didn't, actually. Maybe I'm not as used to being there as you are, but I felt like when you're winning 2-1, and also, my dad pointed this out, it's obviously better to be winning 2-1 than losing 2-1.
Well, he speaks a good game.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but nevertheless, you're only one mistake away. You're only one Jamie Mackie 2-yard attempt away from drawing that game, dropping 2 points, and being out of the playoffs as we talk about it.
Yeah, obviously there's always that danger, but it's not as if either team was piling it on us. Everything they did do, we repelled. I thought Samba has been good in both games.
That's interesting.
Defensively. I think Chester's, although I think obviously Terry and Chester's the better partnership, I think Chester's been better the last 2 games without Terry. It's almost like he's had to take on more responsibility as captain, and he prefers being captain. I mean, when Terry's fit, he comes in for Samba, no doubt. But I do actually think Chester's been better. I mean, I always think he's pretty good anyway. Even when he has a bad game, he's still good, Chester.
Yeah, right.
But the last 2 games, I think it's been his best 2 performances of the season.
Both goals we conceded, it looked to me like we switched off. You know, the initial ball may be cleared, or not even cleared, but kind of just about dealt with, and then we switch off for a second, and there's somebody that capitalises on that, and it's not us, and that ends in a goal. That is a worry for me.
In the first half, I mean, I can't remember if I said this to you during the game. It felt like they got a lucky break, although it was our own doing, for their goal. And then when we were having the scrambles, we weren't getting that.
Right.
But maybe it's just that QPR defended those situations better than we defended that situation.
Yeah, I mean.
And then we got luck last night with the deflection.
Yeah, I can't think of an example of that, but you create your own luck in those situations, don't you? If you don't switch off and you get rid of the ball, then those aren't there to be scored. If the striker's ready to pounce, and I think Keenan Davis and Onumar have been in those situations the last few games, then we'll get those goals. They're the kind of poacher goals that you want. Adoma as well, creating chances for himself, and that's where you're gonna create your own luck from. I thought Adoma should have had another one.
The one who was offside.
Yeah, he was offside, but he struck towards the front post and he hit the post. I thought he should have bent it round. Played it across the face of the goal and aimed for the back post myself. It turns out he was offside anyway, so maybe he shouldn't have had it.
He had a one-on-one in the first half, didn't he, that he tried to curl and he got no bend on it whatsoever.
Yeah,
Ended up going out quite flat, probably nearly going out for a throw-in, although I couldn't tell from my angle.
Yeah, that's true.
Where it could have been very close from what we could see. I mean, I didn't even see the second goal go in. That's how bad our seats were.
It really was bad.
I saw the shot go away and then our fans jumped up, so I presumed it must have been a goal. That's how bad our view was.
There was one point in the first half where I thought we'd scored, and I gave it a proper roar, only to find out that I couldn't actually see it and it had gone over the bar.
No, I didn't see that.
So that wasn't.
I'd have enjoyed seeing that for sure.
That wasn't particularly impressive. So 2 games, 6 points, currently in 4th place, which are all quite nice numbers, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's obviously, as we're recording now, games are just starting to kick off. So we'll wait and see where we are come the end of Wednesday night. But
did you see the Sheffield United highlights?
I didn't see the highlights.
5-4.
5-4, ridiculous.
There's some bad defending in there.
Is there?
I hope Sheffield United bring those defenders to Villa Park on the 23rd.
Well, we can talk about some bad defending, actually. The Sunderland keeper, what's his name? Robin Ritter, something like that.
I couldn't tell you. I can tell you he was wearing the number 25 shirt. I've remembered that from last night.
Well, if you fancy a bit of a goalkeeping gaff laugh, then watch the highlights between Sunderland and Millwall from Saturday. A 2-2 draw, and none of them are good goals, are they?
Horrendous. And I've seen that Millwall keeper play a few times, Archer, and I've always thought he was quite a decent goalkeeper, but he had a nightmare.
Yeah.
By all accounts, Saturday. I just want to make some more points about QPR.
Oh, go on.
If we could,
quickly.
Let's just speak about how phenomenal Keenan Davis and Josh Onumar were on Saturday. Davis' hold-up play, I know I keep harping on about it, belies his years.
You're talking to a man who has joined that club firmly, and actually you said Josh Onumar was your man of the match. Yeah. Actually, Davis was mine. I thought the way he brought players into the game, which he continues to do, is as you say, it is beyond his years. He's showing this kind of maturity and a quality. It just needs to add goals to his game, and he is a proper striker that gives you everything. Still
only having 2 goals is a slight worry. I say slight because other people are scoring when he's in the team. I mean, he barely touched the ball last night. Mm-hmm. But that's going to happen with a young player. There's going to be inconsistencies. Hopefully that means he's going to have a blinder on Saturday, because we're suddenly very reliant on him because we don't have anyone else. I mean, at one point last night, El Mohammadi was playing up front, and he's been playing right back half the season so far, so that tells you we've got problems. Yeah, do you want to talk about the strikers? Can do, yeah. Yeah, so Scott Hogan had a stomach operation while he was away with Scotland, or contracted the issue while he was with Ireland, sorry. Yeah. Was it? He's in the island. Oh, well, Scotland. Uncapped though. Bad notes, because I also made a joke about haggis. Well, so that isn't going to work, is it? I wish I'd not corrected you now to hear the haggis joke. That's not an actual joke. I was just going to say, did he eat too much haggis? That doesn't make any sense now, does it? Damn. So he's out for a month, Steve Bruce thinks. Has he said a month? I hadn't seen that. Yeah, roughly. Oh, that's good news. Jonathan Codger also out for months rather than weeks, according to Steve Bruce. It's a similar ankle injury to the one that he had at the end of last season that kept him out the whole of the summer and the start of this season as well. So we're preparing for life at Villa Park without Codger until, what, February, March? I'd be surprised if we saw him again this season. Really? Yeah. to be honest.
So that leaves a massive hole up front for Villa. Obviously, as Dan says, we're already relying on Keenan Davis a little bit too much. We've got some young players who can be... Well, I'll ask you, is this the opportunity that the younger players need? You know, like Keenan Davis took his chance. Is this going to open up opportunities for Callum O'Hare and other players like that?
The thing is, Callum O'Hare's not really a striker. He's an attacking midfielder. He wouldn't play him on his own up front.
But would he play off Davis?
Probably not, because you've got Onuma and Grealish.
Right.
Who are probably ahead of him.
So you're looking...
And arguably Lansbury.
We need an out...
O'Hare wasn't even on the bench last night.
Do you want to keep interrupting me?
Yeah, please.
You want an out-and-out striker, a target man?
Yeah, people are saying Harry McCurdy as well, but I don't see him as an out-and-out striker. He's more of a false nine, Harry McCurdy, if you're going to play him up front. Hepburn Murphy's been injured ever since he signed a new contract, pretty much. I think he's back in training now, but he hasn't even played for the under-23s yet, because I'd say he'd be in with a shout of getting an opportunity if he was fit. For the foreseeable, until January, we need to get Gabby back fit, just because he's an option off the bench or an option to start when Davis isn't 100% fit, and Gabby will do a job. I know he's not everyone's favourite, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but in this league, he will do a job for over a busy Christmas period. We're going to need him.
It's bodies rather than quality. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I said this to someone on Twitter earlier, playing devil's advocate. Gabby's scored more from open play than Codger had, although obviously there's question marks over Codger's whether he's been fully fit.
Yeah,
he'll do a job for us. He's not, as I say, not everyone likes him. They've got their own reasons. He obviously had that one season where he was an absolute disgrace off the pitch. But since Bruce has been there, if he was a bad egg, he wouldn't be in the squad. Because look at McCormack.
Yeah, well, it's true, and you talk about McCormack, obviously out with Melbourne City at the moment. You got to talk about Matt Lynch raised the point on Twitter earlier. Did we rush Codger back too soon?
Perhaps,
and that was born out of the necessity of not having a fit striker. You know, we're back to where we were because we rushed him back.
Well, we had Davis and we had Hogan, and Gabby was still fit at that point, I think, although I think he got injured as soon as Codger came back.
But Bruce was under pressure, right? He wanted his goal.
He wanted his best player back.
Yeah.
He wanted his best player, and he looked a shadow of his former self, Codger, and I think that probably is down to fitness. McCormack's done, and have you seen what's happened today?
Yeah.
In Australia, the guy just doesn't want to be a professional footballer. He wants to be a footballer, but he doesn't want to be professional by the looks of things.
Yeah, so for those that missed it, Ross McCormack, who scored 4 in 6 games for Melbourne City so far this season, he turned up to training exceptionally late. Is the
Did he give a reason for it?
That's all I've read, that he turned up exceptionally late. Missed the... so he was banned from the next game, which Melbourne lost 3-1 to Brisbane Roar. So it'd be interesting to see whether he stays out of the team, because obviously he has been scoring goals.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But it's a professionalism issue.
That's the disappointing thing. If you're doing well, the last thing you want to do is not come to training, so it's a funny one.
And he said he was enjoying his football as well, so you've got to wonder what the reason was for it.
The problem is, as a one-off, you can probably forgive it, but because he's got previous... people are going to think he's mucking around. With his reputation, it's pretty much a didgeridoo.
Oh,
you
goodness
that,
me, I did. I can't help but smile at that one.
The Tom Julian handbook.
So what do we do in January? Where are the options? What we need to fix this, because you're right. There's going to be a lot of games up to and after Christmas. How does Steve Bruce rectify his striker situation?
If Codger's done for the season, we'll probably dip our toes in the loan market, I would think. But I'm not sure who.
Yeah.
I couldn't name someone off the top of my head. It needs Hogan to get fit, and it needs Hogan to show the form he showed at Brentford. But to do that, Villa need to play to his strengths, and that's something we've never done with Hogan in the team. But his fitness is a concern, because he's had a lot of injuries since he's joined.
Yep.
I was talking about bringing Gabby back, but he plays 2 games and then he's injured for a month or 2 every time. So suddenly there's a lot of pressure on Keenan Davis' shoulders, and eventually, if he's not scoring goals, that will become a problem for us. You could play a Doma there. He spent a bit of a time up front last night, but again, I don't really see him as a lone forward. So I think we'd have to... I don't know how much money we've got to spend, because I know financial fair play was an issue. And the Amavi deal's gone through since the end of the window, because he's played the required amount of games to make his loan permanent, so maybe there's some money there. But we're in such a good... Well, I say we're in such a good position. We're in a good position, so we don't want to fall away. We're in the playoff picture, which is the bare minimum requirement. So if Codger's done for long term, I'd suggest that we're going to have to make a move for a striker.
Yeah, we're only 5 points off automatic promotion as things stand. Obviously, a long way to go, but there's a lot of competitive teams in there, and we're going to have to stay. We're going to have to stay winning to keep up with the pack. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting time. We've already seen El Mohammadi and Christopher Samba utilised up front. There needs to be more options.
Yeah, maybe when Terry's back, old Samba.
Yeah.
Goes up there.
Well, so I wanted to talk about Samba actually, because you talked about the last couple of games. You felt like you did okay.
Yeah, he's good last night.
I would tend to agree with you. I am still really worried about Samba. I feel like he's only one kick away from a mistake. I watched him obviously with you on Saturday. I felt like although he dealt with everything, he doesn't deal with it in any sort of calm, and it's a punt away. It's not a.
He had a lot of hoofs last night.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. It's not a calm play out to the wing or do something smart with it. He gets the ball, and sometimes it looks like there's half a second between him realising that the ball's at his feet and him doing something about it. It feels like it's a bit pinball down there, and then it goes. And I watched it again last night. And there's a lot of times where it just comes to the back and it goes straight back out. Now that's good, but it's not Championship promotion chasing worthy good.
You got to remember, at one point he was a £15 million
That's
defender.
Fine, but he's not anymore.
No, but you don't.
He's not. He's a free transfer that nobody wanted in the summer.
The last two games, he's done nothing wrong really. He's been pretty steady. I think he looks more uncomfortable than he is just because of his frame. I think he looks a bit lumbering at times on the ball when actually he probably isn't.
I think that's kind.
I don't think you can knock him the last two games. He's come in with a minimum of fuss. Was probably under a bit of pressure for the QPR game because he took them for a lot of money and they weren't overly keen on him. They didn't do well with him in the team, and he wouldn't know that was his first start in a league game for what was probably 12 months.
That's true, but having said that, I still don't think he's going to get any more comfortable on the ball. To me, he doesn't seem like a player that is comfortable on the ball.
But in the Villa side, you wouldn't say Villa, apart from Saturday, which surprised me, wouldn't say we're a free-flowing side. Is being good on the ball a necessity for a centre-back at Villa?
Yeah, I would say so. I say that we've changed, and the people that want Bruce out, I would say that... Actually, that doesn't make any sense. I would say that the way we're playing is a different style of football to the one it was a year ago or 2 years ago, where it was get rid of the ball and then work up and win the ball, try and win the ball high up the pitch. Actually, now we're playing out with players like Hutton and Taylor, who are good footballing fullbacks.
Well, Taylor had a stinker with the ball at his feet yesterday. He gave the ball away every time he got it.
But generally, he's a good attacking player. He'll go up with the ball. You get Hurahan, who's picking it up, and we're playing out like that. So obviously, Snodgrass and Adoma look good as well. We don't just want to hump it up. We want to build it up, and I think that we have been seeing that. And that's not the way Samba plays. And I just think he's one half a second tackle late from a calamitous decision of sending off, something like that.
Maybe it'll come with game time though. Maybe he just doesn't want to take any risks at the moment because he hasn't played for so long. He's still finding his feet.
That's true.
It could come.
It's true, but
I don't think his distribution's that bad. He had a couple where he hoofed it clear last night, but I thought that at the time that was what it required.
I think if we've got Keenan Davis up front, then the problem isn't as bad as it might be with somebody else who's, like, for example, if it was Hogan who chases the ball down, that kind of thing. There's not many players like Keenan Davis who can make it stick at his feet or at his chest. And Keenan does that brilliantly, but if we don't have him playing and the ball is just hoofed up, we're not going to control the ball like we have been doing.
No, I see what you're getting at, but when Chester's quite composed on the ball, you've said Taylor, and I mean Hutton's distribution has come on tenfold. Yeah. From even a year ago now, he makes some quite nice little sharp, incisive passes.
He caught himself
outside of the boot as well.
He was at the edge of the box, wasn't he? He didn't really know what to do with it at some point in the first half last night, which he's just waiting for somebody else to come and take it off him.
I'd like to see him score a goal. I think this will be his last season. I'd like to see him score a goal before he departs. I think he deserves one. He was someone I was very hard on previously, but he was probably man of the match last night. Right. Hutton.
He has been a really, really
He's good QPR. I mean, to be fair, QPR game, I couldn't fault any of them. Yeah. I thought they all played very, very well. They were all 8 out of 10 and above for me. I've not got too many worries about Samba, to go back to what you're saying. Yeah. I understand why people might, but at the moment, I don't think he's done anything in the two games to make me worry. Yeah. Cue a nightmare on Saturday now against Ipswich, but when he came on the Sheffield Wednesday, when he took him a while to find his feet, and he probably cost us a goal by him not settling. But the two games he started, no issues for me.
I think the caveat to my point is that everybody's only one mistake away from.
Well, exactly. Anyone is.
Exactly right. And to your point, he didn't do anything disastrous in the last couple of days, and that's all well and good. I guess if you're replacing him like for like with Terry, I think there's a massive quality difference.
Yeah, Terry's a better footballer.
Worrying.
But I think Terry will be back quicker than we think
so,
as well.
Moving on. We are moving on quite nicely today.
Half an hour in.
There's some a video come out of John Terry doing his little roller thing along the floor, and Andre Green as well, working hard to get back into fitness. It's the kind of little videos that I associate those kind of videos with John Terry. He does a lot of those kind of things. He likes to show the fans that he's working hard, and it's again reinforcing. I know there's people who doubted the influence of John Terry at the start of the year, and nobody in this room, but it's another example of how he is a leader on and off the pitch, isn't it?
He will be back quicker than the time frame originally suggested, John Terry, just because he'll put the hard yards in. I mean, people questioned whether he was spending enough time at Bodymoor Heath. He's there all the time. I know that from his Instagram page. If you follow him on Instagram, you can see he's there all the time. I thought he was great. I mean, it might have been done partly to roll the QPR fans, but it was great to see him go with the lads to the game.
Yeah.
On Saturday, almost like, and just be in the dressing room, give them a bit of a pep talk after they're coming off the back of a defeat and might have been a bit nervous. I just think having someone like that there, it can only be good for the team on and off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be the way it is. If you're,
it isn't.
No, it isn't. You're right, and he doesn't have to do it. But I think you should. If you're the captain and you're one of the talismanic players in this team, you should be on the bus. It's great that he is there, and that's been absolutely brilliant. And again, for the young lads who are coming through, they're learning a professionalism that they might not have learned a couple of years ago if they were coming through. If
you're a young footballer, you want to be like John Terry, playing till you're 36, 37, still playing at a high level because you've looked after yourself. I mean, I said it before, he's a specimen. Absolute specimen. Me and you could learn a few things off him because we've let ourselves go. I mean, we need a Villa View podcast health regime. Do we? To start in the new year, I think. I've had 2 Sainsbury's meal deals today. Although my 2? Yeah, my second one was... At the same time? No. You're sitting there with 2 sandwiches, 2 bags of crisps and 2 drinks. I had one for lunch, which was very lovely. It was a Christmas one, which gets me in the mood. Turkey and stuffing? Yeah. Yeah, thought it might be. Really? Don't like turkey, personally. No, it's not for me. Too dry? I don't like the texture. All right. Do you like this is your kind of podcast now. Do you like the texture of chicken? Prefer it to turkey. But you don't love it? You wouldn't pick it off a menu? I'm a beef man. Oh, yeah. Beef man. Mum has to make beef on Christmas Day for me. Does she? Yeah. What, just for you? Well, my dad has some as well, and I'm sure she has some, my mum, as well, because she likes her food. Does she do a full turkey and a little bit of beef? Yeah, she does. Yeah. All right. Has to. Them's the rules, because I don't like turkey. Anyway, the point was that I was in a rush to get to the Villa View podcast on time to make sure I wasn't keeping Dan waiting too long for demanding. We should talk about your etiquette at the QPR game of keeping Dan waiting. Oh, I mean, all right, okay. First of all, it's 2:45, an acceptable time to arrive at an away game. I don't think so. It wasn't. It was 25 to. No, it was not. It was somewhere in between. It was 2:45. Dan wanted to arrive at 2 p.m. Bear in mind, my parents didn't arrive. Well, that's not your fault. That's their fault. I get that. Exactly. Okay, but there should have been more organisation. No one's going to listen. You met my mum for the first time. I did. I felt a close relationship and bond with her that I've never quite felt with you. She did give you some stick about the white shorts, though. The QPR players were wearing white shorts, and they were a mess. It was a muddy day. It was. It was a very muddy day. I enjoyed meeting your parents, and obviously your lady wife. Yes, was there as well. Yeah, and your dad, who I should probably mention. My dad was there with me as well. It was quite a. I think if people had been looking at the 6 of us sat together, they would have probably been thinking, what's going on here? Why? I don't know. I think it probably just looked a bit funny. All right. We don't look anything like my dad. Yeah, that's true. I just think, you are the spitting image of your mum. Am I? You and your mum could be the same person. Put a wig on you. and you're your mum. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm not sure if it's a compliment to me or my mum. I think it's a compliment to... That's a compliment to me, which effectively means I'm complimenting my mum. My dad was very complimentary of your parents, right. And then he said something about your mum to my mum, and my mum acted as if he was saying she was attractive, and that wasn't what... I mean, she is very attractive. Right. That wasn't what he was getting at. He was just saying she was a very nice person. Oh, yeah. So there have been discussions about the Julian parents. Oh, that's good. In the Bardell household. I got onto this subject because I picked up a gluten-free sandwich. I can't remember how we got onto this, but I picked up a gluten-free sandwich. About the health regime. Yeah, it was a nightmare. Gluten. This is the Villa View podcast, the kind of thing that happens quite frequently. Let's move back onto Villa, but I just will say, any celiacs watching, I sympathise with you because Why did you pick it?
I was in a rush. I just grabbed it. It was a bacon, lettuce, tomato. And I just grabbed it, and it was wrong.
Okay.
And it wasn't in the meal deal, so it cost me £5.40. What a scam. Olaf Melberg, do you want to talk about him for a quick second?
Always happy to talk about King Olaf.
So Olaf has quit IF Brommapoikana.
Yeah, I saw this.
So after 2 seasons, 2 promotions in 2 years, which is a magnificent feat by anyone.
Were they in the top flight for the first time ever?
Yes, yeah. Olaf Melberg is taking a break to hone his coaching skills, apparently. The 40-year-old...
I don't think they need honing by the sounds of things.
The 40-year-old played for Villa for 7 years, 232 league appearances, and then he joined Juventus. A great time for me personally. I loved watching Olaf Melberg play. He was a really inspiring centre-back for a young defender called Thomas Julian.
Were you a defender?
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, I was full-back.
Okay.
And sometimes deputised at centre-back, but never big enough.
Never see you as a centre-back.
I mean, I talk a lot, you know. Anyway,
Still.
I put this on Twitter. This is a strange one for me because Villa fans, quite rightly so, don't like to criticise Olaf Melberg. He's a great player and a great servant to the club. This, to me, is a strange move. To me, it smacks of, I don't think I can keep this club up, so I'm gonna get out while the going's still good, while my reputation's still intact, and there'll still be a big job kicking about for me.
Melberg wouldn't do that.
Why? Tell me, what's the other
I heard
reason?
the reason that he went was because players were getting sold behind his back.
So I haven't heard anything like that. The 2 things that have been...
All their players were getting picked off because they've done well, got obviously 2 successive promotions. I think they were being picked off by other Swedish teams. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
comments.
I am also willing to. I don't know the reason. That's all I can say. 2 people said to me. One, that he couldn't manage at that league, at that level, which seems
we don't know.
Seems very strange. I wouldn't have thought so, and I think that would have been reported if that had been the case. The other one was that he's following his own path, which isn't really a reason. It's just a statement. And I would say if you're an ambitious manager, you give it your best shot with the players that you've got. It might be that these players have been sold off. I don't know. I haven't heard that.
That's
either.
what I'd heard. I could be wrong.
Right.
He's a man of integrity, Melberg. I mean, he stayed with us for a number of years when we were garbage.
Yeah.
Under O'Leary. So I don't think he'd do that. He's obviously worked hard and done very well.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'd walk out for no reason. He's the kind of person that would have confidence in himself to manage at that level. I'm sure he would, and do something with the team that he's already done something 2 years running with.
Yeah, well, that's why I was surprised at the job, and that's why I guess the sceptic in me was just like, there will be decent jobs come up for him because his resume looks very good at the moment.
Yeah,
he didn't want to sully it with a. Even
if he didn't do well in the top league, people are going to take into account the size of the team that he's managing. They've never been in the top flight before.
Do you not think that would be the same if his players got sold off as well? He'd be able to argue that. I'm just.
I agree with you.
Administrational issue that he's got a problem with the board.
If he'd not had a say in the transfers, though, then he'd have every right to be annoyed and every right to walk out, I guess, especially when he's given them more than any other manager ever has by getting them to the top league.
A bit like Martin O'Neill.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I was trying to be very careful with what I worded. That was different.
Yeah.
That was a different situation.
Sure. Anyway.
Martin O'Neill had spent a fortune. Well, I don't want to talk about Martin O'Neill anymore.
If you do have any information
trying to trip me up.
Well, you trip yourself up.
Didn't.
If you have any information about the Melberg stuff, come at us.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some.
And it'd be interesting to see where he goes next.
I've got a few Scandinavian people interact with us on social media and YouTube. Not sure if they're specifically Swedish. I want to say they're Danish.
Yeah.
But yeah, please let us know because I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to track Melberg's career next. He's obviously started off very well. It'd be interesting to see whether he makes it across to the English Isle anytime soon.
Get him down to Villa for a bit.
That would be interesting.
Get him on the coaching staff. See if he fancies a bit of chill.
I mean,
time at Villa.
If he is honing his coaching skills, as they say, then it wouldn't be surprising to see him rock up at Villa and do a little bit of coaching, learn a few things, and go off again.
There's a few ex-Villa players doing some interesting jobs.
Go on.
And I was just talking to a bit of a name drop here. I was just talking to Thomas Hitzelsberger before we came on message, and he's doing some good work with Stuttgart's academy. I watched their game on Friday against Dortmund, and they beat Dortmund on Friday. So they were in a similar predicament to Villa. Thomas has gone to work there, and he's doing some work behind the scenes for their youth academy and youth side of things. So yeah, that's just another ex-Villa player doing some good work somewhere. It's good to see. One day I'd like all these ex-players to come back, and we could have a team of ex-Villa players in every role within the club.
I thought you were going to say get them all in here and have a mass.
That would be not in this booth, though.
What are you doing now in this booth?
Should we do a quick apology if there's any audio problems because we are in the terrible booth, just in case?
Makes sense, yeah.
And we've got to say, we've got Jake McCormack, who's hopefully going to fix any issues that we do have. So if it is wrong, let's blame Jake.
Yeah, well, no, not at all. Every so often we have to be in the smaller booth, in the more uncomfortable booth. So we're in here this week. So apologies if the audio is affected in any way. We are doing our best to try and rectify those issues. The
dodgy chair as well. Chair falling apart as I move.
It all falls apart.
I would say so far this has probably been our best performance in this booth.
Well, we've still got a few minutes to go. So
should we get some questions on the go?
Well, I've just got one more bit of news, and then so you get your questions lined up. But we had some royal visitors at Villa Park, didn't we, this week?
We did.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Prince Wills and Kate, for those that aren't familiar. They walked out onto the pitch at Villa Park, which you and I have both done.
Here we have.
Wonderful experience.
I imagine there was more fanfare around these two walking down the pitch than there was when we walked out on there.
Possibly. Prince William is a Villa fan, so that would be a great experience for him. I think people laugh a bit about the royal family, but he has been a Villa fan for a very long time. And always been a Villa fan.
The poor bloke.
Unlike David Cameron or somebody like that. So it does seem to be an actual... a fandom rather than just a kind of name.
You like that word, fandom?
Have I used it twice?
I think someone that I know uses it, and I'm presuming it must be you.
They also got, which we didn't get, Villa mugs with their name on.
I can get one of them. If you're a season ticket holder, you can use your points to get those mugs.
Oh, can you?
I don't think William's a season ticket holder or Kate.
That's true.
But they've got their mugs. It's a bit like you supporting Villa. There's no real reason for him to support Villa, is there? It's just a decision he's made in his youth, and he's probably regretted it ever since. Yeah,
he wanted. I can tell you that he wanted to pick a team that other people weren't picking. His friends weren't following, and Villa certainly would have been that.
Yeah.
I guess you're going to get
Who
me.
would his friends have supported? Because I imagine he would have a very different circle of friends to you.
Well, he went to Eton.
Yeah.
And so did I. So
maybe they didn't like football. Maybe they liked. What's that sport?
Rugby.
What was it? Polo. I had one in my head. That was it. Polo. That was the one I had in my head. Polo. I said water polo though, which that wouldn't have been right.
I guess they would have supported London clubs.
Arsenal, yeah, Chelsea.
Probably not Chelsea back in the day. Probably a lot of Arsenal fans.
West London, posh boys.
Yeah, but Chelsea weren't good back in that day, were they?
I suppose. So. Okay, Arsenal probably then.
I presume that for the Villa View Secret Santa, you're going to get me a little mug with my name on.
Wouldn't be a very good Secret Santa when there's only three of us.
Oh, yeah,
it would be very boring. You'd have a pretty decent shout at guessing who got you your present.
Jake McCormack, get him in there.
Yeah, we've definitely met him.
Friends of the show, Max Roberts.
Yeah, I do. I've been forgetting to do this for weeks now, and he keeps asking me every week. Or I said something a few weeks ago. I mean, did your actually on the subject? Did your mum and dad go to their Northern Soul or Soul evening in the end?
Yes, yeah, they did. They loved it.
I mean, my dad was shocked to learn that they were going out at 10 o'clock at their age.
I was in bed.
My dad was in bed as well. I think at 10 o'clock, it's a fair play to them, living the life.
Yeah.
Living the life.
They love it.
Down in London. But I said something a few weeks ago about Chris Dolan and Northern Soul, about having all the gear but no idea. And he's told me that he's actually very good at Northern Soul dancing.
I have no doubt about that at all.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's a suave chap. I think he likes almost all kinds of music, Chris Dolan.
He's criticised a few of my music choices before.
Yeah, that's not music though, is it?
I can't remember who it was that he criticised.
All right, do you want to get your questions up?
Yeah, I didn't get them up when you asked me to.
No.
Before, so apologies, Chris. Meant to apologise weeks ago. Finally done it. And get you off my back.
Oh, one question we did have.
Yeah, you do that.
Our worst ever, off the back of our best ever five-a-side team, we had to pick our worst ever five-a-side team. The big factor here, I think, is the slow-paced nature of this team. So I'm going to go with mine, and then you can go with yours.
I can't remember mine, but okay.
Okay. Well, you text it to me, so it's in there.
I can't have the questions up and I can't text.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
I can't do everything.
Well, if you go first, then I'll read mine, and then you can get it back.
I mean, this was thrown together very, very quickly. It's a very defensive side. I've gone for Guzan in goal, just because my everlasting memories of him will be how terrible he was in that final season.
Yeah.
Someone not many people will remember, Carl Tyler, who was a centre-back and quite frankly was just an oaf. Talking of oafs,
underused.
Jolly and Lescott next to him, and another fool.
He'll come in.
We all remember very well for all the wrong reasons.
Give all the lads a lift.
Yeah. Jordan Bowery.
Yeah, fine.
Just because I don't think he was that bad, but I just didn't see the point of him.
Yeah, fair
And then
enough.
finally, a player I never really liked, even in the days when we were successful, James Collins.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Clumsy. People used to praise him for his wholehearted attitude and his blocks. It was only because he was never in the right place in the first place.
Your team is very, very defensive there.
It is. That's why he wouldn't do very well that side.
So I've gone for a team. I've got Chris Samba.
What? You can't put Chris Samba in there.
Because as we've talked about, I don't think he's got a good touch. I think he'd be a bit slow. I don't think he'd be a very good five-side
You took this
player.
technical, like
Yeah.
I did last week, for picking my team. I know that's the right thing to do.
Like I did last week.
No, you didn't take that seriously last week. You didn't think about what you were doing.
Carlos, yes I did. Carlos Cuela also in there for the same reason. In the midfield, Eric Jemba and Gavin McCann, just both, I think, were not particularly technically proficient.
Didn't see enough of Jemba to know if he's any good, really.
True.
Barely played.
I think that says enough.
Oh, I'm not happy with the one you've got in there.
And Emil Heskey
Not happy with
up
that.
front.
I've played five-a-side with Emil. He was lethal.
Yeah, I do you know what? Actually, I completely forgot about that. But
You can't have that. I'm not having that.
well, I mean, you don't have a choice. So that will be the five. And
I hope you're not listening.
And the beautiful thing about it is, I haven't picked a goalkeeper. You might have noticed. So they have to rotate in goal, like a properly bad five-a-side team does. There has to be a rotating goalkeeper.
Well, you've taken it very seriously. Having Heskey in there is unforgivable.
I had to pick a striker, and
Considering he's one of the only players that any of us have seen play five-a-side.
well, you've seen it.
Yeah, and we won the tournament.
Yeah,
We
that's
won
true. But
the
you carried
Unibet.
the team.
I did not. King Emil carried
All right,
that team.
go on then. Talk to us.
Wayne Homer, so this is stuff that's come in over Twitter over the last 24 hours. A win is a win, boys, but Steve Bruce needs to box clever with the squad from here, else we could come unstuck. He needs to trust a few others to keep us fresh through the festive period. I'm hoping that on Saturday against Ipswich I see a couple of changes, because at the end of the 3 games in 7 days, we had that before the Sheffield Wednesday game, and we didn't change it, and we came unstuck, as Wayne's alluded to. So I'm hoping there'll be a couple of changes. So I'm hoping the fact he gave Grealish and Jednak a run out last night means that he's going to try and use them from the start.
Yeah, I think
freshen things up.
that's where we can be most fresh, isn't it? In the midfield, in central midfield, certainly we've got options to keep it fresh. It's just up front and
Yeah, we've got Lansbury as well.
yeah.
Sat on the bench. So we've got options. We actually say we've got injuries, but we've still got options elsewhere. Dominic Hustler, realistic striker targets in the upcoming window. I've seen a few people mention Hugill. At Preston, it would depend how much money we're going to have to spend, because I think they turned down a relatively big money offer from someone for him in the summer.
How old is he?
He's relatively young, I think.
Yeah,
He's in
yeah.
his early 20s. I wouldn't mind Callum Robinson back.
Yeah.
He scored for Preston last night.
Yep.
Can play on the flank as well. We let him go too soon. He was one of the ones that was held back by the fact we had Jordan Bowery in the squad, and it was absolutely pointless. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. I think he'd do a job.
Yeah.
Villa Academy man.
I haven't really thought about a striker. It's kind of snuck up on me, this striker crisis.
Aljo is another one I've seen mentioned from Leicester, because he's not playing on loan.
Yeah. I liked it.
Target man.
I did like it when Ajay arrived at Leicester, and he has shown that he's a good player.
He scored goals for Brian.
Yeah, he's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah. Oms, are you worried about our style of play at home? Are we more suited to counter-attack football? Well, we broke well on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we broke well for the goal on Tuesday. I think we're capable of playing good football. I've seen games where we've played really good football this season. I've seen games where we haven't and lost at the start of the season. I've seen games where we've been pretty poor against poor side, Bolton and Sunderland last night, and we've won. I think you've got to be adaptable and be capable of playing the different occasions and the different styles of football, and I think overall we've done that this season.
I think our style of play is getting more consistent and better as we go on throughout the season. I think we started off really, really poorly, and I think there was cause for concern there. But over our kind of winning streak, our home winning streak certainly, and when we're putting results together, actually we haven't looked that bad. And again, when Snodgrass is playing well, when Adoma's playing well, it's really exciting, fast, wide football, and that's exactly what I want to see.
I understand people want to see nice football, but we've got to remember we're not Barcelona, and we're in the Championship, which is a notoriously hard league. At times, yeah, we could be a little bit cuter, play a little bit more easier on the eye, but in the main, you have to be adaptable, and I think we have been.
Yeah, I said to you before the podcast started that Alex Ferguson's best Manchester United teams, they won the games where they didn't play particularly well. You're not going to play brilliantly every week. In 46 game season, you need to pick up the points where against Sunderland you get 3 points rather than just the one, and that's really, really important.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have won that game last season because we wouldn't have had enough nous to have done so. Zebra was Dan Bardell on the wind-up on getting Gabby back in. Got to look for a new future and culture. His integration back in the side has not really been successful. And I think him and Bakuna starting the season had a lot to do with our poor start. Well, Gabby scored the first game.
Talked about this a little bit earlier, didn't we?
I just think at the moment it's a necessity. If we get him fit, it's a necessity he's in the 18 because there's nobody else. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a future.
I will say Zebra has taken full advantage of 280 characters.
He loves the 280 character tweet, doesn't he?
Zebra, you are an essay writer, sir.
You like that?
No.
No? Oh, wow.
I think the fun of Twitter was trying to condense everything.
Oh, I never find that fun.
I
like having more flexibility.
You like it? You like it? 200.
Yeah, I don't use it that often, but I've had to use it a couple of times. When you're trying to promote the Villa View podcast,
that's true.
And you have to squeeze all the links in.
Yeah.
I think it's much easier having 280 characters.
That is true.
Jordan Spencer, with our loan signings being so good this season, who would be your 3 worst loan signings we have made? He'd go for Carlton Cole, Gilles de Builder and Michael Bradley. Bradley really upset me, because at the time, I mean, we're going back to being sponsored by Football Manager here. I had a good Fulham save going on, and I'd bought Michael Bradley in from America, or wherever he was at the time, to play central midfield, and he was a box-to-box. I don't think he was at that point. He was a box-to-box goal-scoring machine. For me in Football Manager, that's it.
Yeah.
Mönchengladbach.
Yeah, that's right.
And he coming to Villa, I was really excited. I was like, "Oh, Dad, I've got this player on Football Manager. He's doing great." And he never really played, which is bizarre. And it was a bizarre signing at the time because we had loads of central midfielders.
Yeah.
So that was a disappointment for me.
Yeah.
Freddie Green said Simon Dawkins should be added to that list. I've had to think of a couple of loan signings. We had about Grant Holt.
Yeah.
At one point under Lambert, he scored once. I think that was a bit of a strange one, but I think that was as cover for Benteke because Kozak was injured at the time. Yeah. We had Gustavo Bartlett. John Gregory signed him. He never played a single game.
Say, I've never heard of that guy.
No, not many people will have done that. I did have one more. Eric Backer.
Oh, yeah.
David O'Leary and Doug Ellis fell out because O'Leary wanted to sign him permanently and Doug Ellis wouldn't let him.
Good decision.
I remember him being okay, Backer. I quite liked him.
I get
physical midfield.
Eric Backer would be a player that I would have signed on Football Manager as a squad player.
Yeah, well, that's what O'Leary was trying to do.
Yeah.
Poor David.
Expensive, though. David O'Leary spent a lot of money on wages.
Well, nothing compared to Martin O'Neill, but we won't go on to that again.
I gave you that one.
I think it's Mikael Morris. Or it might be Michael Morris. Realistically, do you think Villa will be able to buy any of the loan players at the end of the season, i.e. Johnston, Onoma and Snodgrass? I think Johnston and Snodgrass, yes. That kind of depends what league we're in. Onoma, maybe on loan again, but absolutely no chance of a permanent.
I would say no Onoma, no Johnston.
No Johnston?
Yeah.
Do you not think if we go up?
I read something last week which says that they're going to extend his deal by another year. Manchester United.
Doesn't mean we won't be able to buy him.
I don't think they'll sell him.
Kev J saw the same thing or heard the same things that I heard last night. Any explanation for the atmosphere last night? It was pretty dead, felt like pre-season. I really don't know. Hopefully someone else can answer that in the comments because I was a bit perplexed by it as well, to be honest. Should probably go to the YouTube comments, shouldn't we?
I've left my phone in my pocket.
Well, at least it's not going off on the podcast for once.
That's true.
That's always nice. So Dan Rolinson actually made a mistake. He asked for some tweets in for the QPR reaction video and then he didn't use any of them. Very rare. Rollo makes a mistake. Should probably point out this time apologies for forgetting the camera so that we didn't get any QPR fan cams. As Rollo can now say, we all make mistakes. I'll let you decide which one was the bigger mistake.
You both do make mistakes, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a couple in here. Noah said roll on Tuesday at the time, and then I didn't actually see him at fan cams last night. I wish he'd been a bit more specific of which ones I should read here, because there's a lot.
There's loads?
Yeah, I've lost it now as well. Tom, can you fill time a little bit?
No.
Right, forget that. Rollo's let you down, podcast listeners and Villa View.
Your head is
watchers.
Dominating what's going on here.
I know, sorry. It's a big old head when it wants to be. Comments from the last podcast.
I'm going to have to turn that on this.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. You are right. 76 AVJD, my Villa 5-a-side team. Bosnich, great shot stopper. McGrath, God. Cowans, amazing pass with both feet. Wish I'd watched him play, actually. Merson, quality. And York, skills to pay the bills. Doug Ellis on the bench for his bicycle kicks, which he invented, of course. That's a good team, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a good team. Yeah,
yes, better than better than yours.
I don't know much about Cowans, to be honest with you, but But yeah, the rest of the team looks sound.
Kevin Hunter, a bit of a left field inclusion, but what about Nobby Solano in a five-a-side team? Probably one of the most technically gifted players we have had. Little magician. My team would be Schmeichel, McGrath, Solano, Barry, York, Merson on the bench. Again, a team that would finish off Tom's five-a-side team, but probably not the one I picked.
Solano is a nice little...
He was a good little player.
Yeah.
He left in a bad way, though. Elliot Smith's done his five-a-side as well. Friedel, Melberg, Larson, Young, Benteke.
No, not for me,
I'd question the need for Melberg and Larson in a five-a-side, but any team with Benteke in a Villa shirt is a good team for me. I think this is comments on the QPR video now. So Mr. MT, Snodgrass is the game changer for us. We've discussed him earlier. I completely agree with that. A very, very tidy footballer. Villa Samba Brazil as well. Snodgrass is the key in my opinion. Never quits, wins free kicks and drives the team on. If we keep him fit, we have a chance.
Yeah, but that's what we said tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, and then a few comments from last night's pretty negative fan cams considering we won, but enjoyable to meet the Villa public nonetheless. Jack Jennings got to grind out results in this league, something we couldn't do last season. Scotty Edwards says Davis was way too isolated. Onuma was up alongside him when he needed to be the arrowhead of the midfield, which left a huge gap that left Whelan and Horahan outnumbered. Defo need fresh legs on Saturday. Ipswich will be up for a tough game. We have to pack the midfield to be successful. Grealish or Lansbury for Onuma.
Yeah, I think in our when we predicted the results, I think I said Ipswich would be a draw.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. I think that is going to be a tough game.
I think I might have said that as well. Actually,
I think we can get a result, but yeah, not the easiest place, not the easiest game rather, and but we're in good form and we've got some good players. I think it's right about Davis as well. When we don't get close to him, when we don't support him, then he can really look like an island.
Yeah, and he wasn't in the game last night.
When we're at our best, we've got players running off Davis every which way, and defences just can't hold that together.
No, I completely agree with you, young Thomas. Dominic McCabe, it's kind of nice that we can criticise a win now because it's become the norm for us. I don't think you can ever criticise a win. Yeah,
we've talked about this before. I agree with the sentiment of that, of the norm factor, and it's nice that it's the norm, but at the same time, I don't want to criticise a win. I want to go, yes, well done for nicking a close game and roll on Ipswich.
Just take any win is my motto. If you win, I don't care.
I like this comment.
Basically, yeah. Someone said, I don't know why I said someone. B. Demir AVFC said, when did Derek Trotter start presenting the Villa View?
Bedema,
that probably makes more sense. Yeah, we've covered my poor choice in clothing last night, although I did like a comment somewhere that I saw saying, if Dan's Del Boy, Tom's definitely Rodner.
that's an easy toss-up there. We should do, for Christmas, the Del Boy and Rodney Batman and Robin costume.
Well, we've got a Christmas party that I don't know about.
The Villa View Christmas party.
Is that a thing? No, obviously not. Pure muscle. Nice jacket and cap, Bardell. Putting Julian's wardrobe to big shame.
What?
Yeah. I'm not making it up, Tom. You have to look over as if I'm reading something that's never been said.
Pure Muscle's picture.
Let me tell you, he's been on the...
he's been on the shakes, hasn't he?
He's been on the shakes. Maybe he can help. Maybe Pure Muscle, maybe you can do something for us, help us with our January regime that we're going to get into. Tom and I have fallen on hard times and we'd like to get fit. So
January 1st.
Maybe if you could help us, that would be nice.
The fitness regime starts here. I'll start filling out this shirt. Pure Muscle, maybe you can send me a little tank top or something like that and I'll wear it. Anyone
that can help Tom with his presenting as well, that would probably be much appreciated.
You know what? We've done this for an hour. We're in the bad mood. It hasn't been a bad go, has it?
No, it's been a good one. Nothing else to say, really, other than thank you for all the support we've been getting. We're closing in on 100 iTunes reviews now, so if we could make it 100 before the next podcast, that would be a real good achievement. That would get us up the search boards on iTunes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you've got here at this point and you haven't left a review yet, but you're enjoying it so much that you've listened for an hour, then just take 2 minutes, just go, that was good.
I mean, there's at least 12 people we know of that are watching the podcasts. That's 3 of them are our parents.
Yeah.
My mum doesn't watch it.
My mum listens to it.
Yeah.
I think she does watch it, actually. I don't think my dad does.
Now she's met me, she'll be watching it more often, I would have thought.
I think she does it when she does the ironing.
No. You know. Sensible.
Yeah.
Economic with time. It makes sense.
Very much.
There will be a preview for the Ipswich Town game, probably on Friday night. I would envisage that being released, so we'll get that recorded in the coming days. There'll also be fan cams on Saturday. I might let Max have a go at fan cams if he's there, try and alternate with him, because I do think Max is very good.
If he's recovered from his
presenting
tonsillitis.
the fan cams. He has got tonsillitis, and he shook my hand last night trying to pass it on. He didn't shake Rolinson's hand, just shook mine. I felt like that was premeditated.
That's great.
He was there with his girlfriend last night as well. I remember him saying last year actually on fan cams what he wants in 2017 is a girlfriend. Now he's got himself a very nice one.
Dreams do come true.
Yeah, they do. Trying to think if there's anything else. Don't think there is. I do never enjoy the end of the podcast. It never feels fluid.
That's because it's time to say goodbye for another week.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah. Right, thanks so much for watching, for listening. Get involved with the comments. There's a bunch of things to talk about. And that's it. We'll see you next week.
I really feel like I've forgotten something, but too late. What can you do? Thank you very much for all your support of the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.